right, girls, today we are going to make little tents that can double as name tags, but are also just kind of cute all by themselves. The first thing you'll need to do is you'll need to acquire 3 popsicle sticks and glue them together. Now, the way I like to do it is you just use a little dot of glue. Now, if you're using white glue like this, you have to also think about how long does it take for the glue to dry. But if you just glue the top in a little cross and the bottom nice and wide and flat, it starts to take on the appearance of being a little tent. So I'm just gonna set my little tent, see what I mean? It moves if you're not careful, off to the side and let it dry. The next thing we get to do is pick out our fabric. Which one do you like?
Oh, I'll take the top one. Oh, that's some beautiful flowers. And I love that it's scrap.
Yes, any type of scrap will do. And I'm just gonna find a little marker and I'm gonna just draw a line right underneath my tent. And that's just a guideline for where to cut. And then I'll grab a pair of scissors and I'm just gonna carefully cut along that line. Now I have a little scrap of fabric that will fit perfectly onto my tent. Now, what I did with my first one is I liked to have little rounded corners instead of having parts that were pointy off the edge. So I'm just gonna take my scissors and round my edges off. You can do that or not, it's completely up to you. And all I do is I take the little corner and I just trim it off. The next thing I wanna do is find the center. It's easier to cut the little slit for the 2 flaps before you glue it down rather than after, because it's hard to get your scissors in there once the edges are glued down without ripping it up. So I fold mine in half into a little triangle, and then from the bottom part that would be on the bottom of my tent, I'm gonna just take my scissors and make just a little bitty cut. Not all the way. I did not cut it apart, though if you do, it's not a huge deal. You can just glue them down in 2 separate pieces, but I like to keep them together so that if one side comes unglued at some point before I can fix it, I don't lose my flap. The other side will hold it on. So I have my 2 little flaps here, and then I'm gonna take my glue, and my popsicle sticks are not fully dry, but they're dry enough to stay together on their own. So now that they're dry enough to stay together on their own, I can go ahead and glue this on, and all that's gonna do is give it a little extra strength. The fabric will help hold it together even a little bit better. The tent can just stay exactly how it is, but I like to open the flaps up myself because I think that's cute. And I just used a little extra dot of glue, just 1 little dot, and I put it around the middle. And all I did for that extra dot is then hold my flappy flaps onto that for a couple seconds. And from there, I can decorate it. I can write my name on it. As always, if you use it as a name tag, you do need to have your real name on it so that we can always figure out whose it is if it gets lost. There you have it. A nice little popsicle stick tent.